This week's Torah portion, Behar, which means on a mountaintop, includes the famous words inscribed on the Philadelphia's Liberty Bell, announcing the signing of the American Declaration of Independence. There it is written in Leviticus chapter 25, Ukaratem dror ba'aretz, lechol yoshveha, proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. This Hebrew word for liberty is dror, and it only appears once in all of the Torah. And so it is treated with extra care and given extra attention, like finding a gem in the rough. When Martin Buber was translating the Hebrew Bible into German, he described this word dror as a very rare and very dear word. What does it mean? Whenever a word is found only once, it's hard to know what it means because there's no other context to check. We can only know from the context in which it is given, or imagine from that context what is intended. So, although it is found only once in the Torah, it is found many times in the book of Psalms. There, for example, it is written, even the sparrow has found a home, and the dror has made a nest for herself. So apparently, dror is the name of a particular kind of bird, a type of swallow, we're told, who is known for its ability to make its nest on treetops, in houses, and in the field as well. A rare feature for a bird to be able to make a home in any setting. The dror bird is totally self-reliant, adaptable, and unrestricted in its choice of habitat. Since she has the freedom and ability to choose her own destination, she is given this prominence in our Hebrew Bible. Rabbi Yehuda is recorded in the Talmud as having asked the question, what is the meaning of dror? And he answers his own question by making use of wordplay. In the Aramaic, the word dayar means to dwell. Dror is at least the freedom to dwell wherever one wishes, at least to have the freedom of movement, to be able to say, now is when I wish to move, now is when I wish to settle. Using this as our working definition, ukaratem dror ba'aretz l'chol yoshveha, proclaim freedom of movement throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It takes on a whole different meaning. Freedom of movement. And those of us who are finally able and comfortable and maybe even confident to travel again after the pandemic, we know how liberating it is. Still with trepidation, to be sure, but it feels like newfound freedom to be able to say, now I wish to go there. So you have heard me speak many times about what our responsibilities are for Ukrainian refugees at this moment. With the help of JAIS, we can be part of welcome circles. Thanks to the Canadian government, Ukrainians are able to come here under certain circumstances, not as refugees, but receiving temporary sanction with the ability to live here and to work here for a certain amount of time. You have seen the materials on Holy Blossom's website. You have seen the links to resources provided by our amazing partners at JAIS, at the Jewish Immigrant Aid Society. At the beginning of the Russian invasion, it may have seemed a lot like hurry up and wait, right? We were all ready to do something, roll up our sleeves and be part of the solution. But it's only now that hundreds of Ukrainians are arriving to Canadian cities and it's now that they are in need of temporary housing and jobs. And so I urge you to consider creating a welcome circle with family and friends, and let Jaius match you with an individual or with a family, or more likely with a part of a family, a partial family, since most of the men are still not able to leave Ukraine. This week I had a request from the Rothschild-Taylor family asking me to provide a reference for them so that they could form a welcome circle. It would be my honor, my pleasure, my privilege to act as a reference for any congregant who would like to form a welcome circle, of course. And I have also been recently made aware of a Facebook page called Canadians Hosting Ukrainians. Ukrainians are posting their stories and asking for temporary housing and leads on jobs through this Facebook page. Now, Jaius needs to vet the Ukrainians coming and also needs to vet the people who would like to host them. Jaius takes that legal responsibility very seriously, vetting, but there isn't really enough time. There is urgency for many who are arriving now. So if you wish, if you feel you want to take inspiration from my friend and colleague, Rabbi Jared Grover, who took a chance and happened to see on this website that there were two siblings, Jewish brother and sister, teenagers. One of them worked at the Hillel House in a city in Ukraine, looking for a place to stay and job leads here in Toronto, and Rabbi Grover and his wife and their 4 children have welcomed these two teenagers for temporary housing. So if you would like to take a chance as they did, then that is the swiftest way to find a match for your empty bedroom or your basement apartment, or even a home. If you're at the cottage over the summer, maybe your home here would be useful that way. Now is the time to lift up this mitzvah of liberty in any way that we can, through temporary housing and job opportunities, but also through volunteering to help with English language skills, or teaching a newcomer how to navigate the TTC, donating funds, of course, and also household goods. If you go to the Jaius website, you can find a whole section on volunteering, and there's a link to how you can donate household goods for people who are setting up new apartments. I say all this in the presence of our dear congregant John Freund, who himself came to Canada with the help of Jaius as a young refugee, and he was greeted by none other than our congregant, the late Chancellor of University of Toronto, Rose Wolfe, of blessed memory. Rose Wolfe was a social worker then when she met John Freund and helped him to find his way in this new country. John has told our B'nai Mitzvah classes over the years what it feels like to flee your home and how important it is to take a book with you for the road. And then he would present our B'nai Mitzvah students with a copy of the Plough Torah commentary, a tremendous gift from the brotherhood that he represents. And John has told countless non-Jewish Canadian students what it is like to have everything taken from you, what it is like to come to a foreign country and to begin from scratch as he did. John was like that dror bird who had to learn how to make a home wherever he landed. We are in that period now of the counting of the Omer. In just a moment, we'll rise to our feet and we'll announce the day of the Omer, because we believe that freedom from Egypt was incomplete freedom. It was only the end of enslavement, but it wasn't yet a fulfillment of liberty. Our freedom was only made complete when we received the Torah at Sinai, when we received the mitzvot, and we were told, you can be the fulfillment of these mitzvot. Freedom was given a purpose at Sinai. God gave us the blessing of motivation and meaning at Sinai. So we are free in this good country, thank God. But have we yet fulfilled all of the potential and promise of liberty? Certainly not yet. What is the difference between freedom and liberty? Freedom is the absence of bondage. Liberty is the ability to pursue covenantal possibility for all the world. Rabbi Abba Hillel Silver, a leading light of the Reform movement of the 20th century, he asked, when is a human being free to pursue liberty? Not when he is driftwood on the stream of life, free of all cares or worries or ambitions. He is not free at all then, only drugged like the lotus eaters in the Odyssey. To be free in action, in struggle, in undiverted and purposeful achievement, to move forward towards a worthy objective across a fierce terrain of resistance, to be vital and aglow in the exercise of a great enterprise, that is to be free. And that is to know the joy and the exhilaration of full freedom. A human being is free, only truly free, with the fulfillment of liberty when he has entered an errand on earth. Let that be the call of this week as we take up the potential and the promise and the possibility of liberty which will yet be ours. Amen and Shabbat Shalom.